Thank you and good afternoon. You like my shirt? I do. Look at it. Good afternoon. This is Sam Vaughan for Sam's Sports Report. Kansas lost yesterday from my eyes, Texas played better defense. They also were diving for balls, scrappy defense, stealing balls, going underneath the basket, just like they wanted it more. I think Texas wanted it more in the Big 12 the whole time. Kansas fans did not show up as much in the past, and they just didn't really want it. There's only one season left for Texas in basketball, the Big 12. Final score was 76-56. There's only one season left for basketball in the Big 12 before Texas moving on to the SEC. That's why I thought revenge was on Texas's mind. Final score was 76-56. Dylan DeSuss had 18. Jalen Wilson had another good night. He had 20, but nobody else was there to play with him. Mizzou lost to Alabama. Mizzou gave it all, their best shot to win, to go to the SEC championship, but in the end, Brandon Miller was just too much, and Missouri couldn't hit their shots. And Missouri, when they can't hit their shots, they're eventually going to lose. Damari Hodge had 21. He had some incredible threes roll in, including a heave out of bounds, but the Tide were too much. That's probably what will make Missouri fall eventually at the end of the season when they get eliminated. All right, now we transfer over to my top overall 4 seeds. Houston gets number 1. They've got one of the best coaches ever to never win a national championship. They've got skill. They've got three-pointers. They've got the best offense in the country, maybe. It just for me was a more quality team for Houston than Kansas or Alabama. That's where I select them. Most importantly, but most people will select KU. I'm sure KU will come out on the number 1 seed. That's called branding. Branding. KU is a big blue-headed blood. We want them to stay a blue blood. So why will they be the number 1 seed? Because they're a blue blood. Nothing else to back it up. Maybe there's some other reasons to back it up, but that's one of the reasons KU get the number seed, because their name is KU. Alabama or Houston's name is not KU. Alabama's name carries better in the football world. Alabama has had a great season. The NCAA does not like Alabama being good at football and basketball. They want to be a football powerhouse and worry about the rest of the blue bloods in the basketball. Well, I think that's about to change. Sometimes should change. You don't just vote off branding, but they will continue to do that, especially in today's world. And whether I like it or not, the best player in college basketball, Brandon Miller, so my 4th number 1 overall seed is Texas. It may not happen, but I put them over Purdue. Why? Media states the Big 12 is the best conference. So why shouldn't the team that won the Big 12 conference be a number 1 overall seed? That's what you want them to do, right? You want them to win the best conference, tournament or season. Otherwise, they won the conference. They finished second. I get it, they finished second. But they won the tournament. That's what you're supposed to do, right? Another word, no, I don't like Texas, but I believe they're a number 1 seed. Purdue, all reasons above, is why Purdue is a number 2 seed and not a number 1. The reasons I mentioned. They would probably end up with a number 1, likely be in the Big 10 championship and likely to win today. So I'm not going to fight you, not going to argue with you, but I think Purdue's a number 2 and Texas is a number 1 at the number 4 final 4 seasons. The number 4 final seeds. Texas is number one seed. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're the 4th overall number 1 seed because of the way they played against Kansas, and they won the Big 12 Conference Championship, and they're in the best conference in basketball. So it's simple to me. UCLA, who has only lost 4 games in the season, second best record in the NCAA to Houston. I think they should be number 2 seed, and they probably will be. Arizona, number 2 seed, has a great turnaround and is a great improved team from last year. Marquette is a number 2 overall seed. They had a great season with Shaka Smart, who will get his team far in the tournament and the Big East regular season champions, Big East champions as well, conference champions as well. I dropped Baylor to 3 because they didn't show up in Kansas City. It was interesting when I put number 2 for Baylor and I was writing this thing out from Marquette. I was going to snub Baylor, but as soon as I was talking about it, ESPN dropped Baylor to 3. So probably Baylor will drop to 3. I wanted to be a little bit more outside. Maybe I get a little more points for taking Baylor over Marquette, but it looks like they're going to do the same NCAA brackets. We'll see, though. That all comes out tonight at 5 before I come with my show at 4 to give you all the seeds. I feel like Baylor's a 3. Now, so as soon as I was typing in my script, as I said that they put Marquette as a 2. Now ESPN should hire me. Gonzaga has had a very good season, have one of the best coaches in America who has never won a national championship. You're going to have to figure out a way to someday do that. He might get one, but the problem with his likeness, and now that transfers into college sports, so maybe Gonzaga not winning as much championships or as much in basketball anymore. We'll see. Indiana, who finished 3rd and 2nd in the Big Ten, probably the second best conference in America. Although likelihood Indiana lost yesterday, Indiana would be a 4. Although all likely Indiana will be a 4, Tennessee will be a 3. But I don't think Tennessee's team is as good as Indiana, and I have not seen Tennessee play that well to give me the edge to give them a 3. But maybe they are. I haven't watched Indiana all season, but I've seen Tennessee lose to Missouri twice. UConn has surprisingly had a great season, and they are number 3. They're either the biggest surprise of the 16 or the second biggest surprise of the 16 top 4 overall seeds in the NCAA tournament. Xavier, don't know a whole lot about, but they've had a great season, and they were runners-up, losing the conference championships, and they were the Big East runner-up champions as they lost in the championship final. I'm sure they're a great team. They always have been. Xavier finishes at 4. Joe already says Kansas State has the Cats as a 3 seed. I'm not so sure. The way they ended their season and affected their team in their conference tournament and were not very good and didn't even really put up a fight. And they're now playing conference tournament matter more. I'm not sure why it does. Iowa State is my number 3 overall 4 seed. They were number 5 seed according to Joe Lunardi. I just thought they played it really well against Baylor. Yes, Kansas beat them, but Kansas State failed to win the first game anyways. So Iowa State was my number 4, and then Virginia was my number 4, 4th seed overall. They've been consistent. They've been a great team. They've been the most consistent schools probably beside Baylor and Kansas, and all 3, Virginia, Baylor, and Kansas, have won a national championships in the last 3 years. we'll see you back here at 4 for the full selection. So Marcus Sears is injured for semifinals. He is questionable for today's game. We'll see for all those news. All the rest of the games for today, let's do the top 25 actually. Here we go. Texas A&M, Alabama for the SEC championship. That game tips off at 12. Memphis, Houston for the AAC championship. That game tips off at 6. At 2:15, Houston is favored by 6. Penn State and Purdue. Penn State 2:30, 7.5 is the line. This is Sam Vaughan.